Our top story, sad breaking news tonight in the Kate Steinle murder case. The illegal immigrant, Garcia Zarate, who killed Kate Steinle on that pier in San Francisco, was acquitted just a short time ago of murder and manslaughter charges before he shot Steinle. Now, get this. He was released from a San Francisco jail despite a federal request that he be held for his sixth deportation. He already had 7 prior felony convictions. Let me tell you something the mainstream media will never tell you tonight. It was San Francisco sanctuary city policies that killed Kate Steinle. They did not obey the law. They followed these ridiculous liberal policies, and because of their stupidity and their, quote, form of justice and caring more about the rights of illegal convicted felons, tonight, Kate Steinle is dead, and her family has received no justice. Here's the attorney for the illegal immigrant right after the verdict, taking a shot at the president? Really?
For those who might criticize this verdict, there are a number of people that have commented on this case in the last couple of years. The Attorney General of the United States, the President and Vice President of the United States. Let me just remind them that they are themselves under investigation by a special prosecutor in Washington, D.C., and they may themselves soon avail themselves of the presumption of innocence and the beyond a reasonable doubt standard. And so I would ask them to reflect on that before they comment or disparage the result in this case.
I want to go through some of the details tonight, and we pay very close attention here. Now, this family of the Steinle family has been waiting more than 2 years for this justice. Now, Kate Steinle, she was arm in arm with her father on that pier. Here you have a guy, homeless at the time, claimed he found the gun with a piece of cloth under his swivel chair at a pier. And then he says he picked it up. He accidentally fired it. It ricocheted and hit Kate Steinle in the back. Well, we know a lot more about Mr. Zarate, and that is, in fact, that because he had little experience with his guns, is what his attorney was saying. But we did find out some other facts tonight. For example, he had been requested by the federal government that, in fact, he be handed over to federal authorities. They didn't do it. The reason they didn't do it is because of the sanctuary city laws that are in San Francisco. The same laws now that have been adopted by the governor of California, Jerry Brown, in this particular case. You look at his track record. You look at all of the deportations. You look at all of the felony convictions. Tonight, America has to ask a very important question. Tell us what good comes out of a sanctuary city law. People that never respected our laws and our sovereignty come into this country again and again and again and again and again, 6 times after being deported, after all those felonies, and an American young woman is killed with her father walking on a pier in San Francisco? We're going to have a lot more. Michelle Malkin joins us in a minute. Now, with a tax vote in the Senate looming, many are wondering tonight what tax reform could mean for their bottom line. Here are the statistics. As of now, this is important to every forgotten man and woman that voted in this election. This bill increases the minimum deduction to $12,000 for individuals, $24,000 for joint filers. It ends the individual mandate penalty under Obamacare. Thank goodness. It removes the alternative minimum tax. Additionally, the top marginal rate will be lowered. Not enough in my mind, 38.5%. Perhaps the most crucial part of this bill could be in the dramatic reduction in the corporate tax rates from one of the highest at 35% in the world to just 20%. And, of course, the 10% tax on repatriation for multinational corporations, foreign cash. That means trillions potentially coming into this country and factories and manufacturing centers being built for the forgotten men and women in poverty, out of work. Now, the question is, what does this mean for you? Here are some examples the mainstream media will not show you. According to estimates, a middle-income family of 4 with around $70,000 in earnings, they can receive up to an estimated 60% tax cut. A single parent with around $40,000 in earnings will likely see at least a 50% reduction in their taxes. This is real money in hardworking Americans' pockets. No, the bill's not perfect. I would have preferred dramatic across-the-board cuts like in the Reagan era, but it is an important starting point, lowering the corporate rate, spurring economic growth for decades, hopefully, to come. You listen to the gloom and doom of Democrats. This bill will destroy the middle class and end America as we know it. Watch the petty display of predictable class warfare from earlier today.
It's astounding. If the president and Republicans in Congress set out to pass a middle-class tax cut, as they claim, if that's where they set out, this bill completely misses the mark.
They keep pushing it because it's a payoff to their big donors. If the Republicans ram this thing through, they're going to explode the debt. They're going to raise taxes on hardworking families.
If the deficit goes up by $1.4 trillion, I believe without any doubt that the Republican Party will come down here to the Senate and go to the House and say, my goodness, we have raised the deficit, and in order to deal with that, we have got to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, nutrition, education, affordable housing, and every program that is important.
You've got to remember, for almost a decade, those same people you see bashing this tax reduction, this tax reform, are the same politicians that gave us the, quote, economic wisdom of Barack Obama. But, you know, what about these Democrats? What they're not going to tell you is this. What happened under the Obama economy? They'll never tell you how bad it is. We told you during the last election, under Obama, the slowest economic recovery from a recession since the 40s. 11 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty, a home ownership rate at its lowest in 51 years. 50 million Americans in poverty, and an increase, as I said, of 8 million. And get this, Obama, the only president in history of this country never to reach 3% GDP growth in the country. Meanwhile, since President Trump was elected, third quarter GDP just yesterday was revised upward 3.3%, the highest rate in 3 years. In October, 261,000 jobs were created, nearly 2 million now since President Trump was elected. Unemployment, a 17-year low. Consumer confidence, 17-year high. Median existing home prices for all housing types in October 2017, up 8.7% since January. The stock market today, another record, all-time record. Based on that alone, who do you trust? The Obama sycophants that gave us these failed policies? Their cohorts in the liberal media? Their friends on the left side of the aisle? They want this bill to fail when they failed all of us for 8 years? Or what about this president that has literally put confidence in the heart of American corporations by getting rid of Obama regulations and red tape? We now have seen what economic growth could mean and what an economic turnaround could be. This bill must pass. Our economic future depends on it. We're going to discuss the tax bill also later on the show and also bring you a vote. In fact, we'll update you any votes that happen in the Senate throughout the night. Now we turn our attention also to the ongoing nightmare that is NBC News today. It has been 1 day since Today's Show host Matt Lauer was abruptly fired. Now multiple women have come forward with shocking allegations of sexual misconduct and abuse against the longtime morning host. Some of these allegations include exposing himself to a staffer, demanding that she perform a sex act, giving an adult toy as a present along with a note suggesting that it be used in front of him, and one instance where Lauer summoned a married staffer to his office where he had sex with her until she passes out, and then Lauer reportedly took the woman to see a nurse. Earlier today, Matt Lauer has issued an apology with a caveat stating that some of the allegations are, quote, untrue or mischaracterized. Now, more damning tape also surfaced indicating that Lauer's misconduct was going on for a long while and may have been an open secret at the Peacock Network. Take a look at this clip from Lauer's former co-host, Meredith Vieira, where she talks about his in-office bag of sex toys. Watch this.
I have to say, I went into your office once. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Snooping, and you had a huge bag of sex toys, and do you remember this?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, you did.
Wait a minute.
In your closet.
Wait a minute. Okay, can we explain what happened? Because you were there. We had a guest on the show who was what was she, a sex therapist? And so when she left, I think you did the segment, actually.
I didn't.
And when she left, she gave each of us a shopping bag of stuff.
I didn't get a bag of stuff.
True story.
Also this clip, Matt Lauer, an awkward interview with Anne Hathaway where he obsesses over a, quote, wardrobe malfunction. Let's take a look.
Anne Hathaway, good morning. Nice to see you.
Morning, Matt.
Seen a lot of you lately.
Sorry about that.
You were.
I'd be happy to stay home, but the film.
Let's just get it out of the way. You had a little wardrobe malfunction the other night. What's the lesson learned from something like that, other than that you keep smiling, which you always do?
Well, it was obviously an unfortunate incident. Yeah, so let's get back to Les Mis.
One of the most creative turns of a question I have ever heard.
And earlier today, a reporter from Variety told CNN that Matt Lauer's behavior was well known by NBC employees. Take a look.
High-level executives were told about his behavior, both current and prior. Our sources say it wasn't even considered a secret. It was known by many employees at the Today Show, including some employees that have gone on television and said publicly, we had no idea. According to our reporting, some of the other personalities and on-air personalities were aware of these allegations. According to our sources, the co-anchors were aware of some of these allegations. And so they're having trouble reckoning what some of these anchors said in private conversations versus what was said on TV yesterday.
Current anchors or former anchors?
Both. This isn't the end of the story, no. We believe that there will be more women coming forward, and we believe there will be more evidence about who knew what when that will come out in the reporting in the days to come.
Okay, what did the folks at NBC know? When did they know it? NBC News chairman Andy Lack is, quote, deeply saddened by this turn of events, but are Lauer's actions really a turn of events or just business as usual for the embattled former morning host? And then there's the current fake news CNN chief, Jeff Zucker. He served as the head of NBC News during many of Lauer's allegations of misconduct. Zucker's now saying that, quote, I didn't know this, Matt. So was Zucker in the dark, or did he turn a blind eye? These allegations against Matt Lauer, they need to be investigated fully. But if true, those who knew about this and possibly enabled this behavior should be called out. Now, with allegations abounding, well, all of the stress at NBC News seems to be getting to crazy liberal Joe Scarborough, especially after Trump made this accusation in a tweet. So now that Matt Lauer is gone, when will the fake news practitioners at NBC be terminating the contract of Phil Griffin? He runs MSNBC, the conspiracy network. And will they terminate low ratings Joe Scarborough based on the unsolved mystery that took place in Florida years ago? Investigate. Well, earlier today, liberal Joe had a complete mental and emotional breakdown on national television. Watch.
We are facing a showdown with a nuclear power, and you have somebody inside the White House that the New York Daily News says is mentally unfit, that people close to him say is mentally unfit, that people close to him during the campaign told me had early stages of dementia. When is this the right time to talk about a mentally unstable president in the White House and a nuclear showdown with another unstable madman in North Korea? Everybody around Donald Trump knows he's not stable. Everybody around Donald Trump knows he's not stable now.
Kelly.
Everybody.
I know for a fact that's not true. By the way, now we have Dr. Liberal Joe. He's diagnosing on television in the morning. Now, instead of worrying about a nuclear holocaust with North Korea, maybe Liberal Joe, maybe he should worry about getting his emotions in check and not letting this obsessive, compulsive, nonstop hatred of President Trump send him over the edge. Joe, you need help. There's a lot more in terms of serious news that you should be covering. By the way, no one should worry that Liberal Joe and his allegations, by the way, and his friends in the Democratic Party, well, maybe, Joe, you should be asking questions about that, because the Senate Ethics Committee has now opened a preliminary inquiry into the groping allegations against Senator Al Franken. Now, this comes after yet another woman, an Army veteran, has come forward to accuse Franken of groping her during a USO tour in 2003. And while Franken faces even more allegations, his colleagues in the House, well, John Conyers in particular, he's now facing growing calls to resign after multiple sexual harassment allegations and accusations, including involving a taxpayer-funded settlement. Even his longtime defender, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, she's miraculously now done a complete 180. Today, she's now calling for Conyers to step down. Watch this.
The allegations against Congressman Conyers, as we have learned more since Sunday, are serious, disappointing, and very credible. It's very sad. The brave women who came forward are owed justice. I pray for Congressman Conyers and his family and wish them well. However, Congressman Conyers should resign.
Remember, this comes less than a week after Nancy Pelosi defended Conyers, called him an icon, talked about due process. I guess now she suddenly remembered that she considers herself a champion for women's rights. And meanwhile, John Conyers, who is now hospitalized with stress-induced symptoms, apparently, is remaining defiant. He's still denying the allegations. Earlier today, his lawyer fired back at Pelosi. Watch this.
It is not up to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi did not elect the congressman, and she sure as hell won't be the one to tell the congressman to leave.
We'll have more on these Democratic scandals that are plaguing them later tonight in the show. But first, we have a lot more on our top story. Kate Steinle's killer found not guilty, now walking free. Kate Steinle, killed back in July of 2015, walking arm in arm with her father on a pier in San Francisco, shot and killed by an illegal immigrant, Jose Garcia Zarate. This man had 7 prior felony convictions, 4 involving narcotics. This was his facing of a 6th deportation at the time he shot and killed this innocent woman. This illegal immigrant said he accidentally killed her. He said it was an accident, that the bullet ricocheted off the concrete and hit Kate Steinle. His lawyer says he found the gun just moments before he shot her. And it gets worse. He says his client had never fired a gun before and got scared after it went off. What did he do? He threw it off the pier, and they found it the next day. And as I said at the top of the show, sanctuary cities tonight, those that support them, they are to blame for the death of Kate Steinle. With reaction.